board. And I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to pull up my presentation, which is on. Now, okay, can everyone see my screen? Little virtual thumbs up or hands thumbs up if you can.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Alrighty, lovely. Okay, cool. And in the meantime, everyone can just mute themselves unless they're going to ask a question. Now, and again, I'll go through the little spiel and then we'll pick it up and then I'll open the form. So I'll do my 15, 20-minute little spiel on this. Okay, so me being very clever, I try to do topics on things that are actually very close to my heart. So in a couple of weeks, I'll be telling you how to pack for an Ironman in Florida. But unfortunately, one of the topics this week is about how to handle getting sick in the middle of a critical time in your training plan. So, and again, me being the perfect guinea pig, I picked up a chest infection just last week when I was in Barcelona. And so a week sitting on my backside doing nothing and sort of looking at my CTL plummeting in Training Peaks. Well, CTL is your kind of fitness figure, and trying to be a coach and not an athlete for once in my life and telling myself, what would you tell your athletes? I said, it doesn't matter. My fitness is going out the window. So I just want to tell you what you need to do, etc., about how to handle sickness in a training block. It's slightly different to injuries, but I'll talk a little bit on that. Okay, so illness and training. Let's just start off in a little bit of proactivity here. It's best to avoid, especially taper, pointing at you, Kenny. This is something we do not want to get sick, especially in a time where we don't have time to recover from it. And we'll talk a little bit about the timelines when people get sick and what the impact is. So let's just put in the back of your mind things that we need to do to avoid this sort of crap. You need to eat well on a balanced diet, plenty of greens, plenty of the right amount of carbs and protein, etc. Make sure you're eating a balanced diet. This in general will actually give you enough vitamins and minerals if you're doing it right. And a general rule of thumb as myself is not a nutrition, but I tend to eat more green, less brown. Simple, easy to remember way of doing when you're going to order your lunch, etc. That should get you all your nutrients and your vitamins and minerals. There are people who will sort of load up on vitamin supplements, and I don't think that's too bad a thing. But again, if you're getting the right amount, you're actually just going to excrete these anyhow. But for me, I actually do take omega-3 oil, because I find it helps with muscle soreness. I also take vitamin C a lot in tablet form, mainly because we don't get, I don't eat enough citrus fruits. And there's potentially, and there's some multi-vitamins. Again, if you're eating well, you don't need to worry about that. Another way of avoiding getting sick is getting good quality sleep. And I did do a presentation on this, how to improve your sleep. I'll do it in the next block again. You know, sort of bed early, switch off the phone, blackout blinds, nice room temperature. And sleep not only helps your body recover from the stresses of training, but it also allows your body to kind of, your immune system to be in its A game as well. Hydration, again, plenty of fluids on board. It again helps your blood system, you know, get all the good white blood cells, etc., around the body. Germ management, and this is something we've all got a lot better at, in fairness, as in when I say this, it's sort of, you know, washing your hands, staying distant from people, wearing or not wearing a face mask in a kind of like close quarters. Your call on the last one, but just that sort of washing hands and social distance, it does help. And again, for yourself, Kenny, as I said, just you don't want to pick up the sniffles and the next time. And I probably should have been a bit more aware of when I was traveling in a plane, etc. But anyway, another item how we can keep ourselves away from getting sick is monitoring your resting heart rate. Now, once you have an average resting heart rate, and you get that over kind of 3-4 days, when you're either take your heart rate first thing in the morning, or your Garmin's are very good at recording them and putting them on Garmin Connect, and you can see what they are. Like, for example, mine is 44. Now, mine's very low because I do a lot of endurance training. But I also know if my resting heart rate jumps by more than 5-6 beats, so suddenly if I wake up and it's 50 beats, that tells me two things. One, I'm either very fatigued, or I didn't get good sleep, or I'm coming down with something. So my action at that point is typically, look at what training I have for today. Ooh, I've got a hard swim session. I've got a hard tempo run. Do I really want to? Maybe I'll just knock out the swim session, drop the swim session and do a recovery run, because you don't want to, if you are teetering on coming down with something viral, you don't want to whack your immune system and then open yourself up for that. I've put the last one in, I probably should put it in italics. I said, avoid too many vices. Now, I'm not talking about, was it, yes, it's okay. It's cool to have the odd glass of wine or drink. But if you drink a lot, smoke a lot, you're opening yourself up to getting sick. It's well documented. But for me, I always get a glass of wine after dinner just to help me unwind. Okay, so that's what we can do to avoid it. But let's face it, things happen. So what to do if you do get sick? Okay, sometimes being sick is not training impacting, so we don't need to kind of wet the bed, for example. And this is a general rule of thumb I have heard said to me by medical people, etc. I don't know how much it's taught in medical school, but my general rule of thumb is if it's above the neck, I just have a runny nose, I'm a bit sniffly, a bit of a head cold, I typically will train, not very intensely, but I will sort of do train. If it's below the neck, I don't. And when I say below the neck, you've got, you've got feel as if tightness in your chest, you're coughing up a lot of crap and all the rest. For me, no, because if it might start off as a gentle, kind of a fluey thing, you push that into a chest infection, which I did, by the way. And on that exact example, this is a case of me being really dumb because I felt a bit sniffly and cold. And what to do? I went and did a 90-minute run in the rain over in Barcelona, thinking I needed to do it, and I came up with a chest infection. So this is the best example of do as I say, don't do as I do. So as I said, I wouldn't have the chest infection if I just gone, it looks rainy and miserable. I'm a bit tight in the chest. I'll just lie down for the night. Grand. Whatever you do, don't self-diagnose or Google it. If you think you're sick, get seen by a doctor. If you Google it and you find it, I typically find it'll tell you one of two things. One, you've caught Ebola, or two, you've got some sort of other tropical disease. Because if you look at the different symptoms, sort of head cold, runny nose, fever, etc. All of these things are very, very similar to Ebola. So that's why I think these doctors went to medical school, and I presume that they all did all the study. So get it seen by a doctor. Google might send you down the complete rabbit hole. Once you see the doctor, listen to them for the required fix. And by the way, I now will seamlessly replace the word doctor with physio, because if someone comes to me with an injury, I said my hamstring, I think I've torn my hamstring, I will send you go to the physio. I'm not a physio, and they'll tell you what to do. The same way, if you feel sick, you go to the doctor and they go, okay, you're sick and all the rest. And I also tell them, when you're asking them, when you're having a conversation, and trust us, as triathletes, we love to talk about our training. I go, right, when can I go back training? And they will say, listen, realistically, you're looking at a week off, just bed rest, la, la, la. You take that. Or they say, listen, until the end of the antibiotic, no training. We've got to listen to that, because what you'll do if you don't, or what will happen if you don't, you try to rush back and you'll end up getting sicker than you need to be. Instead of losing 1.5 weeks, you lose almost like 3. Okay. And also help the healing, as I said, it's kind of down to our preventative stuff at the start. Load up on the rest, just stay in bed. Vitamin C, again, I tend to find that these could hopefully flush out whatever viral infection is going on. Eat well, etc. Now, again, in another classic example of do as I say, don't do as I do, last week I managed to put on around 2 kg was a comfort eating my way through a load of Ben & Jerry's. And I'm pretty sure it didn't actually help my chest infection. So I should have been eating a lot of fruit, a lot of vegetables and all the rest, instead of the delicious, wholesome ice cream made from the United States. So just be clever with it. Okay, so impact on training, okay? And again, as I said, I get lots of people kind of emailing on squad or plans. And it was very evident as well in COVID. We got a lot of people, I've caught COVID, what can I do? My Ironman's and said, look, don't panic. You've got to follow the medical advice for straight off, right? But like people who generally come back and say, listen, yeah, I've got a bit of an infection, what do I do, and etc. Sometimes it's not going to impact on either the goal or the race, okay? But it can, and you just have to accept that. And this is, again, Coach Steve's rule of thumb. Anything less than 10 days, right? And it's you're a good few weeks away from your goal race. There's no impact on the goal in the race. You'll be able to recover it, okay, in general. So I'm not, for me, for example, my chest infection, I lost, whatever, 6 days of training. And I'm still 4 weeks out from Ironman Florida. The goal is still the same as the same. Anything between 10 and 20, and you are within that kind of 4 week window, you have to look at revising a goal. If you're trying to go under 12 hours to the Ironman and you've lost like essentially you're close on 3 weeks worth of training, you've got to look at being realistic and go, okay, look, maybe I'm looking at 13 hours, maybe I'm looking at 14 hours because I've lost a couple of really big key sessions. And again, for me, anything over 25 days, and again, this is the example where you didn't listen to the doctor or the chest infection just kept on coming back, et cetera, and you just couldn't shift it. And now you're even 3-4 weeks out and you've already lost a month worth of training. I would make a good call on your A race. I'd say, go, look, am I going to enjoy this at all? Am I going to DNF, etc.? So that's the position you don't want to get into. And in that, for me, you sort of go, all right, that's what you do. While you do everything you can to listen to the doctor, assist yourself getting back to full fitness or over the illness. Returning to training, okay? Very much, I get a lot of people emailing me, go, right, I was out for 3 weeks and I'm just going to hop straight back into the plan. Is that a good idea? And when people go, is that a good idea? It's because they know it's a really dumb idea. And they're just looking for someone to go, no, don't. So rule of thumb here, I kind of use fractions in terms of, decimals and all the rest of percentages about how you ease yourself back in. Typically, if you've only been out for like 10 and 20 days, you're looking at sort of like week 1, you literally take a third of the planned training. And by that, I mean, you reduce the distance. So if you're down for I guess it was an 18K long run on your week at that stage, you bring it down just to 6K. Oh, I've done my maths okay there. Yeah, and then like if it's a 90K bike, down to 30K. So you just literally, or you can just actually pick, I'm going to do a third of the sessions. So ease yourself in and have a checkpoint at the end of the week. How am I doing? How's my resting heart rate? How's my energy levels? What's my motivation like? I'm good. Perfect. Next week. And of the exact training load, so you're actually ramping up on 2 levels, you're going to go with 2/3 of the planned training. Okay. And again, sort of, if it's whatever it was a 15K run on the Saturday, you're looking at doing your 10K run, etc. at the intensity prescribed. Checkpoint at the end of the week. I'm good, no niggles, my chest isn't at me, I'm breathing well, my sleep is good, and my resting heart rate, yada yada. End of week 3, you're back in the game, as in you're back to 100% of planned training as the plan prescribed, and you should be good. Now that's if you've managed your illness well. Okay. So I'm gonna throw that open. Actually, Mark, I'm gonna help you. You're gonna get yourself involved this time. Is there anything else you would think about adding in there, or any other thoughts in terms of, was it how you would handle an illness and a return from it?
No, I don't think so, Steve. I think that covers all the main points I would have gone through as well. The key thing is just patience. You know, like you say, for me, I always want to get back to full on training, and I'm probably guilty myself of just pushing it a little bit too soon, and you end up taking a couple of steps back. So it is just holding back. You'll know your body better than anybody else, and just when you're feeling good and you're going out there and you're doing a run and your heart rate's back to where it should be, then you're in good shape. And it's just waiting for those triggers to give you the indication of, okay, you're good to go.
Yeah, and actually that's a really good point as well, as in you'll know in your training and intensity, as in like if you're sort of doing a zone 2 run and you look at your actual training data as part of your checkpoint, you go, wow, I was actually zone 3 there, and it just felt like it was zone 2 pace, whatever. That's another indicator. Actually, I'm not quite right yet. and then you just ease back the ramp rate as well. That's a good point. So check heart rate and effort in planned sessions. Okay. All right. Anything else there, Mark? Or
No, man, that's all good.
cool. Alrighty. So what we're going to do now, lads, is because I'm going to just stop the recording, and I'm going to open up the floor to Q&A. As in, I do this, so I give it a little carrot for people to attend the sessions, because you get more out of Q&A, guys, if you attend. So while you're watching in the YouTube land, there's a little bit more discussion, but hopefully this was useful, and we will talk to you later. Okay, and that's